first impression of Colton was I thought he was kind of a quiet guy.
My first impression of Megan, I don't know why, but I knew for some reason that she was a Christian. I knew she was really strong in her faith.
I really only knew him as the guy that lived down the hall from me in my dorm.
I might see her in passing every once in a while on campus, but I really never see her that much, so I knew very little about her. I always thought she was a really cute girl.
I thought he was really cute and tall and really muscular.
Megan and I met through a campus ministry called Crew. For our first freshman, sophomore years of college, we really weren't close at all, never talked, just kind of knew of each other.
But I really got to know him through one of my best friends.
And then our junior year, my good friend moved in with her and became her good friend as well.
She was pretty good friends with him, and so she kind of helped us get to know each other better.
And through that, we kind of knew more about each other, saw each other more often, and I guess developed crushes on each other.
For our first date, Colton picked me up at 9 a.m.
I took her to a coffee shop in downtown Wayne.
And he ordered tea, and that's when I knew he was a keeper.
Which was really good because it was cheap.
It was the cheapest date ever. It was like $3.75, so he got out pretty easy. And we talked for a while in that coffee shop.
It was a good opportunity for a first date just to get to know each other better. And then we went on a walk in the blistering wind and cold because it was the end of November.
And I remember he recited a whole chapter from the Bible, and I was like, dang. And then he dropped me off and asked me on another date.
And then afterwards, a big group of us went to Sioux City, and it was a little awkward because it was our first date, so I didn't know whether or not I should be around her like that day when a group of us were in Sioux City and try to talk to her a lot, or if I should keep my distance and not be super clingy. And I was internally freaking out about it, but it turned out well.
One of my favorite memories with Colton is after a wedding. The wedding was at a state park, and so we went to this little lookout area, and I just remember looking out at the view and just leaning my head on his shoulder, and I just felt so content in that moment and just so at peace with him. And so that's one of my favorite memories with Colton.
My favorite memory of Megan is one time last summer we went on a picnic date to Skyview Lake in Norfolk, which is this big pretty lake and park kind of area. And it was right before I was planning on proposing, or I was kind of figuring out what I was going to do for the proposal. So I was kind of like looking around at the park and kind of scouting it out to see like if it would work there. I didn't end up doing it there, but it was just fun because I was, without telling her, planning things out in my head and imagining how things would happen.
My favorite thing about Colton physically is I really like his arms. He's really muscular.
My favorite thing about Megan, at least physically, is her teeth. I have a weird thing with teeth. I really like people with straight teeth, even though mine are not that great.
Just personality-wise, he's such a strong leader. He's really firm in his beliefs, and he doesn't let other people sway him in any way. But he just really holds true to what the Bible has to say, and he just seeks and searches Scripture so deeply. And I think that's what attracts me to him most.
Hands down, favorite thing about Megan is her faith. She's a very solid Christian. I've never had to guess whether or not she truly understands the gospel, whether or not she truly knows the Lord, whether or not she's truly obedient to that and dedicated to that. I've never had to guess with that, and it's so obvious in her life, in her relationship with Christ, and that was the immediate thing that drew me to her. I first started thinking about marriage with Megan about a month into dating. I had a good friend who was not yet engaged, who was having to talk to his then girlfriend about timeline stuff, when they were going to get engaged, when they were going to get married. So I told that to Megan, and then I was like, kind of probably really awkwardly, I was kind of like, so what do you think about timeline marriage stuff? So I asked that question a little passively, but that's what initially how we started talking about marriage.
About a month into dating, Colton brought up the word marriage for the first time. It kind of freaked me out a little bit because I had never dated anyone before Colton, and so talking about marriage just was different for me, but it made me feel a lot more confident about the future and what it could hold with him, and that's when I thought, like, hey, I could probably marry this guy, even though it was so soon. I just felt really reassured by it.
I asked Brad if I could marry Megan in kind of a unique situation. That summer, the summer of 2018, my parents' basement had flooded really bad from a lot of rain and not very good drainage, and a bunch of stuff got ruined, unfortunately. So there was one day I came over, and so did Brad and Susie, Megan's parents, and we were moving out a bunch of stuff, tearing up carpet, moving out furniture that had been ruined by the flood, and I think me and Brad were carrying something out, or no, we had just got back in from carrying something out. We were walking downstairs, and I kind of awkwardly go, because that day I had picked up the ring from Sioux City before I went there. So I kind of went, oh, I was in Sioux City today, and he goes, oh yeah, what for? And I was like, I picked up an engagement ring for your daughter. And I think I caught him off guard because he kind of looked at me like, just like I surprised him. And then I was like, from that moment I went into it and asking him his permission.
So over the summer, I was working at a bunch of different camps, and Colton texted me one day, and he asked if I wanted to go on a picnic when I got back from the camp that I was currently working at. And he wanted to go that day that I got back, and I was exhausted. And so I was like, nah, I don't really want to go. Like, can we just wait and hold it off? And he's like, I really, really, really want to go on this picnic. And I convinced him to do it the day after I got back. But I was so confused why he really wanted to go on this picnic.
So for the proposal, I set up a picnic on campus at Wayne State where there's this kind of pretty fountain area.
So that day he had everything all packed up, all the food packed up and the blanket, and he drove me over to this place on campus where we used to hang out a lot and hammock and worship together. So it was one of our favorite spots on campus. We got there and it was so pretty because it was right towards the end of June and all these flowers were up and everything was so green. And I thought maybe, I remember we were sitting down and eating and I was like, I'm gonna be really disappointed, like, if he doesn't propose soon, because I was just really thinking that he probably would or something.
We were having the picnic and I decided to say, I want to take a picture, but my phone's in my car. So I went to my car and I got the wedding planner and the ring.
While he runs away to get his phone, I'm like sitting there stuffing my face with zebra cakes, completely oblivious to the fact that these people are taking pictures of me behind bushes. And he comes back and I'm just sitting there on my phone eating zebra cakes, and he's standing in front of me and he has something behind his back and he says,
and probably not very smoothly, I said, hey, I have a gift for you, but you need to stand up. Like, for some reason she needs to stand up to receive a gift.
And all of a sudden, wheels start turning in my head because I told him once that I wanted to be standing when he proposed because I thought it was weird if I was sitting. I don't know why. It's just kind of a weird thing that I told him. And so I was starting to think that maybe that could be happening. And I stand up and he hands me a book. And I'm like, okay, he's probably not proposing. He's just giving me a gift.
I had bought earlier, obviously the ring, and I had also picked up a wedding planner because we had already planned a bunch of stuff for the wedding, and she was just kind of using notebook paper to do it. So I thought I'd get her that. And
it said, it was a wedding planning book, because we had done some wedding prep before we were engaged. So it made sense that he was giving me a wedding planner. But he had it like personalized and had our names on it. And I looked to my left and I see Colton's best friend with a camera, like trying to dodge and dance behind this tree, so I didn't see him, but I definitely saw him. And then I was like freaking out because I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening. And he tells me to open the book, and so I open it, and on the front cover, there's a letter taped to it. And I just look at the letter, and my eyes just scan over it again and again, but I'm like freaking out internally, so I'm not actually reading what's on the letter, but I notice there's a ... at the end, which makes me freak out a little more. So I'm just staying there, like, looking at the book, not doing anything, because I'm expecting him to propose, and he's waiting for me to look up at him from the letter so that he can propose, and so we just stand there a weird amount of time.
And I was waiting for her to finish reading it and look up at me before I proposed, but she was just looking at it and scanning over it, and she wasn't looking up, and she wasn't looking up, and she wasn't looking up, so finally I was just like, whatever. So I got down on the knee and I proposed.
And I don't remember anything he said, and I don't remember if I said yes. But now we're married, so it's fine. Colton, I can't believe our wedding day is already here. I am so excited for you to be my husband, and I am so honored to have the privilege of being your wife. I cannot wait for us to do ministry together as a couple. I can't wait for to see how you act as a father one day. I'm just so excited to have the rest of my life with you, however long that is. When I was single, I never thought that I would find a guy as dedicated or as focused or driven as you. You are beyond all my expectations of what I've wanted. And I'm just so excited that I get to be a part of everything that God is doing in you. And I love you just so much.
Megan, I just want to thank you so much for being gracious to me through our relationship, for being patient with me, for being forgiving with me. You have no idea what the kind of blessing you've been to me, both first and foremost in my spiritual life. God has used you to change me into a better man, a more obedient follower, a more obedient child. And not only that, but you make me happy as well. You make me so happy, Megan. I can't believe we get to 2 weeks from now, but when we're watching this video that we're married. The anticipation has been a while. We've been talking about this for over a year. I just want to thank you so much just for the person you are. I can't wait to spend the rest of our lives together. You have no idea, we have no idea what awaits us, what kind of adventures await us, and just the joy that life will bring us. I love you, Megan, and I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you. We're looking forward most of all just to finally being married. We've had the idea of marriage in our minds at least for like a year and 3 months. It felt like longer than that, but just to finally be married and to finally be at the wedding day, that's what I think we're most looking forward to.
And to just celebrate with everyone we love. And I'm just so excited to see everyone, and I'm excited for tacos and for dancing and just the big celebration and just to show unity under God.
We went out stargazing one night with a bunch of friends, and then they left. And then it was just us two sitting there looking at stars. And I asked her, like a gentleman should, is it okay if I kiss you? And she said no.
Well, that's not really how I said it.
That is what happened.
I remember I couldn't look at him. I just like stared out in the distance for a long time, and I was like, because I had never kissed anyone before, and so I was just flipping out in my head, like, I don't know how that works, I don't know what that is. I was just kind of freaking out, and poor guy. So I was just like, I don't think I'm ready. So I didn't just say no. I was just. But then I realized, okay, so I rejected him in the first kiss. So I was like, gosh, now I have to tell him when I'm actually ready. So then a few weeks later, I was like, man, okay, I think I'm ready to have my first kiss at this point. And so we were in the car driving back from a wedding, and I was like, worked up the courage. I was like, hey, Colton, I think I'm okay with kissing. He was like, what made you think of that? And I was like, I don't know. I just had to tell you at some point. And I didn't expect him to do it so soon after.
Was it that night?
No, it wasn't that night.
It wasn't in the Mustang?
No, it was actually pretty lame. It's actually really lame.
Yeah, so our actual first kiss was pretty lame. It could have been under this big moonlit sky in the country, like kind of nice, but I ruined that.
And instead, our first kiss was on my ratty couch in my old apartment, and it was kind of awkward.
It was so
really
awkward because I was like, and he had to like turn, and it was just,
and you didn't
it was so awkward. Yeah, I was just like this. So our first kiss was terrible. I did not enjoy it, and I don't think you did either. like had been thinking about that I loved Colton for.
And so had I.
Yeah.
Not
and
that
so
I love being,
we had both been thinking about it, and I was wondering if he was gonna say it soon. But there was one night that I just really wanted him to bring it up. So
it was actually the same night we first talked about marriage, wasn't it?
It was around there for sure.
Maybe it wasn't. It wasn't the same night. That would have been weird.
Would have been a lot of heavy subjects at once. But I remember I asked Colton, because like I didn't want to be the first to say it, and so I asked him, I was like, Colton, what do you think about love? And do you remember what you said to that?
I think I talked about how it's not like what these movies make it out to be, like it's just some special feeling, but it's something you choose to do. Yeah.
And then
I was like, then I said, I love you, Megan.
And then I said it back. So I wasn't the first to say it, but I definitely had brought it up. Because come to find out, he wasn't going to say it for like a month or two after that.
Well, I had heard somewhere, and for some reason I was going to stick to it, was that it's weird if you say I love you before 3 months.
So he was going to wait 3 months, but
yeah.
Did it a little sooner. So to our guests, we just want to thank you guys so much for coming near and far to our special day to celebrate with us.
Yeah, thanks for making the sacrifices, taking time off. I'm sure it's a busy weekend with Mother's Day around the corner. But just thank you so much for making the sacrifices to come up here and celebrate with us. And yeah, we ask that you would keep us in our prayers for our marriage, that we'd be bringing glory and honor to God through it.